So I think that Robert Whittaker is absolutely going to destroy Khamzat Chimaev, and that's just my honest opinion. But we're going to go ahead and get through that very, very quickly. Now, this is going to be a short video. It's not going to go for too long because I really don't think that there is enough evidence out there to pretty much defend Khamzat Chimaev from the obvious. Now, I think that Khamzat Chimaev just isn't good enough to compete against the best of the best in the middleweight division because obviously his best wins have been against welterweights. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welterweights. And obviously, I'm talking about his Kevin Holland win and the win he got against Kamaru Usman. Now, of course, everybody's going to be talking about, well, he beat a championship level fighter. But that championship level fighter was a welterweight. And he beat Kevin Holland. This Kevin Holland guy, he's super active in the UFC. He has a whole lot of experience. What division does he actually compete in? Because to me, I feel like he is, pretty much going back and forth between middleweight and welterweight, and most of his fights have been in welterweight. So I think it's pretty much clear to say that Kevin Holland really is a real welterweight. That's where he started off fighting, and that's where most of his fights have been taking place, in the welterweight division. So you could pretty much come to the agreement that Khamzat Chimaev has never beat a real middleweight. Now, Khamzat Chimaev is not going to fight just any middleweight, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to be fighting a former champion, a championship level fighter. You know what I'm saying? And championship level fighters are at a completely different level from fighters that are in the top 15 to fighters that are in the top 10, even fighters in the top 5, you have to be, at a certain level to even beat a championship level fighter. And I don't think Khamzat Chimaev is at that level. He's just not. I guess you guys can say that pretty much people are just pretty much riding the train of Khamzat Chimaev being a big drive to the UFC and getting dominant victories, but against who? Against who really? Kevin Holland and Kamaru Usman? I just don't think that's enough. Let's go ahead and talk about the Kamaru Usman fight, because there's a lot of people out there that are giving this fight a little bit too much praise, in my opinion. And we're going to go ahead and cover that. Now, let's not forget that, Khamzat Chimaev did get the win, but how did he get the win? And what's the context of that entire matchup? Kamaru Usman pretty much stepped up to the fight on short notice, not really getting an entire fighting camp. He didn't get a full camp for this fight, pretty much coming off the couch and then fighting Khamzat Chimaev in 185. That's not a real middleweight, nor is that a fighter that was in a camp, right? I think that Khamzat Chimaev had the complete advantage in that fight because he actually had a camp. And let's not forget that Kamaru Usman was beating the shit out of Khamzat Chimaev in rounds 2 and rounds 3. If that fight would have been a 5-round fight, without a doubt, I felt like Kamaru Usman would have won. Now, what is Robert Whittaker going to do against Khamzat Chimaev? A championship level fighter. A fighter that just got a knockout in his last fight. And of course, he did get knocked out by Dricus du Plessis, but it's Dricus du Plessis. He is the current middleweight champion of the entire UFC, ladies and gentlemen. So obviously, Dricus du Plessis is at a certain level to beat a former champion. I don't think that Khamzat is at that level, ladies and gentlemen. There is literally nothing that anyone can show me. There is nothing that anyone can say to pretty much convince me and a whole lot of people out there that Khamzat Chimaev is going to get a win against, Robert Whittaker at UFC 308. And I feel like Robert Whittaker is absolutely going to destroy Khamzat Chimaev, because he just has better decision making. And let's not forget, at the top of the game, at the top of the UFC, in any freaking weight class, what separates good and great fighters is decision making. And I don't think that Khamzat Chimaev has great decision making. We're going to go ahead and talk about the Kamaru Usman fight again. There's a lot of people saying out there that Khamzat Chimaev doesn't have a good gas tank. I think he does have a good gas tank. I will give him that. I think that he has crazy amount of pace. But it's just gas the entire way through. The one thing about Khamzat Chimaev, right, that I think is his biggest issue is that he doesn't know how and when to pace himself. And that's something that we've seen throughout his entire career so far that he's been in the UFC, especially against Kamaru Usman, where he was pretty much getting his ass whooped in the second and third round. Now, if we do see Khamzat Chimaev, fix some of these issues, like the pacing issue that I pretty much keep on talking about, then yeah, he does have a chance at beating Robert Whittaker. But as it stands right now, if we get the same Khamzat Chimaev that we saw against Kamaru Usman, and we'll be able to tell off the rip in round one, if that's the case, then I think that Robert Whittaker is absolutely going to whoop his ass. Now, another thing that nobody seems to be talking about is the fact that Khamzat Chimaev has all the pressure right now. He is 100% on the pressure point, and that is without a doubt because he is pretty much getting a shortcut to a title shot undeservingly. He hasn't fought a real middleweight, yet he's fighting the number one contender. Besides, obviously Sean Strickland, he's fighting Robert Whittaker, arguably a fighter that should be fighting the number one contender. So yes, Khamzat Chimaev 100% without a doubt is going to be, the fighter that's going to be facing the most pressure between the two. Now, I know what some of you guys are going to be saying. Well, Khamzat Chimaev has been doing a great job at pretty much maintaining composure, riding the wave of being a hype train in the UFC, which obviously does come with a lot of pressure. But the stakes are different here, ladies and gentlemen. This is a championship contender fight. It's pretty much, a fight where whoever wins this matchup could be, a fight away from fighting for the championship. And when those stakes are, pretty much on the line, fighters fight differently, without a doubt. And based on track record, I mean, is there anything left to say? Robert Whittaker has been in these moments multiple times before throughout his career. He's a former champion. He's been in this stage before. This is going to be Khamzat Chimaev's first time pretty much being in a huge fight. You know what I'm saying? And all I'm going to say is that based on his last performance, if he comes into this matchup making dumb mistakes like he was doing against a welterweight, Robert Whittaker is absolutely, without a doubt, going to dominate Khamzat Chimaev. And that's just the way that I see it, in my honest opinion. And when Robert Whittaker does win, ladies and gentlemen, be aware that there's going to be a lot of people out there that are pretty much going to be giving Khamzat Chimaev an excuse, saying that, oh, this man was in the hospital for I don't know how many months. That's the reason he lost to Robert Whittaker. Because it's definitely going to happen. But anyways, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel. Leave a like. Leave a comment, please. Let's go back and forth. As always, it's a pleasure. Peace out and have a good one.